Blessing, good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to douglAR Radio at Atlantic Studio. And of course, yes, it seems like a very long time, but it's just about a week and a couple of days that we have not been able, for many reasons, to perform on this platform. But nevertheless, we are here today. I want to say a blessed good afternoon to each and every one of you who locked on. Those of you who will be coming on later, we want to say welcome. And of course, as usual, we are here to bring the facts, to bring the information as it relates to what is happening in government. First of all, I think last night on the forum, the Monday night forum, there was serious information that came to the public domain. I do trust and hope that you pay attention to what was said yesterday, and not only pay attention, but preparing your minds to take a stand against the level of corruption, the out-of-control crime situation, the nepotism, the geographical discrimination, the high food prices, the high fuel prices, the mashup of our democratic right by the Prime Minister, those who have conspired and bring the police service commission into disrepute. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a very sad state, a very sad state. We will not be taking any phone calls for about the next 35 minutes. As soon as we're ready to take some calls, we will let you know. We are no longer on the radio. We are no longer on the radio station. Of course, we know that the radio station have taken a position, and they have taken a position where we would not be allowed to continue with the message, the facts that we bring to you in relation to the failed governance in this country. I know that most of those media houses make their money from government funding, and I know that they not only make their money, but they have demonstrated a serious bias when coming to reporting and dealing with issues, even a matter of fact, even to bring the information undiluted, unpolluted, without political interference. It seems that task is almost impossible for those media houses. And when you look at the way in which the media houses will structure their editorials and so on, and their headlines, you can judge for yourself. You ought to have a clear picture as to what is really happening with the propaganda machine of the PNM. These media houses have now become higher guns for the PNM. And when you become a higher gun, then you are no longer transparent, you are no longer credible, you are no longer the mouthpiece for democracy in this country, because that is what the newspaper ought to be in a country. The newspaper ought to be the voice of democracy. The newspaper ought to be those who would bring the facts, the message, whether or not it's for or against government. The message must be clear. But today in our society, we are seeing that the newspaper, the media houses in this country, they have taken a position. And that position is they are now supporters of the People's National Movement. And when an independent organization or an independent institution becomes, if I should use the word, giving up that right, we have also seen the Law Association, who also ought to be an independent institution. They too have given up that right. And we have seen the office of the president. That office also give up that right of independency. We have seen every independent institution contaminated. Everyone, every single one. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. Every one of these independent institutions have since been contaminated with the Rowley virus. And that Rowley virus, ladies and gentlemen, it is more dangerous than the coronavirus. That Rowley virus, it is a cancer that would contaminate every independent institution in this country, and not only contaminates, but also decimates every independent institution in this country. We can no longer find any institution that ought to be independent, demonstrating that it is still independent, demonstrating that it is not contaminated with political interference. And when independent institutions have become corrupted with political interference, then there is no integrity, there is no sanity, there is no moral values that will exist within those institutions when they have allowed themselves to become corrupted, when they allow themselves to become part of the problem, when they allow themselves to become part of a greater conspiracy to defraud the treasury, to defraud the taxpayer, to defraud the future generation of a country. When an independent institution have allowed this contamination to exist, it tells you, ladies and gentlemen, that there must be immediate action to counteract that type of behavior by those who sits in any institution who have been paid with taxpayer dollars, pay these independent so-called institution we can no longer see integrity existing in those institutions. We can no longer see integrity even in a commission that names, a commission that is named after the said word integrity. We have had investigations of serious allegations in relation to misbehavior in public office, which is a criminal offense. We have had investigations existing as far back as 2016. And today, ladies and gentlemen, if you are to ask any one of these independent institutions who is charged with the responsibility to charge, to prosecute, or to recommend charges, you would be surprised to hear that those who are charged with that responsibility saying to you that investigation continues. How many serious investigation that is existing today under this government as far back as 2016 and the latter parts of even 2015. But if you should inquire, if you should ask, you would be hearing from those who ought to be independent saying to you that these investigations are continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, these investigations, they are local allegations. It is not an allegation where you have to go to the Swiss bank. It is not an allegation where you have to go to Panama. It is not an allegation where you have to even go to Grenada. It is allegations of wrongdoing right here. Not even in Tobago, right here in Trinidad. And yet, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and very soon, next couple of months, the conclusion of 2022. And today, you would hear, if you are to ask the Commissioner of Police, acting that is, if you ought to ask the sitting Director of Public Prosecution, you would be told that those investigations are continuing, and you better be prepared. You better be prepared to send threats of judicial review in order to get answers. If you do not believe Victor Roberts, then ask Ravi Balgobin Maharaj. You better be prepared to go as far as judicial review in order to get answers about matters, serious allegations of corruption, money laundering, and what have you. You better be prepared to go through the process of judicial review to get any answers in relation to any matter that is surrounding any P&M officials, whether they sit in government or they sit on state board or they sit within the hierarchy of the party. This is because, ladies and gentlemen, that the Rowley virus have infiltrated and infiltrate the offices that ought to be independent and penetrate those who hold those offices. Penetrate them. So there can be no justice. There can be no accountability. There can neither be transparency. When you look at the prison population, you will find petty thief. You will find those who are involved in corruption. You will find murderers, rapists, pedophiles, money launderers, drug pushers, addicts, all of the above, all of the above, medium and poorer class of people. Those matters, ladies and gentlemen, with money laundering and corruption, those matters were tried after a report was made. Recommendations were made by the Director of Public Prosecution, and those individuals, in a matter of days, in some case a week or two, those individuals were placed before the courts. If you examine the prison population, you would find all manner of crimes that was committed against the person. You will find, ladies and gentlemen, that not only those individuals not only were arrested in a matter of days, but some of them remain months and years before a trial could arise to be proven guilty of or innocent in relation to those charges. A matter of days. But here it is. We have had serious allegations with government officials and ministers from since 2016, and today, after 6 years, investigations are continuing. You see, not only, ladies and gentlemen, they do not want us on the radio. They don't want us to be speaking anywhere. Because when we speak, we bring the facts. This is not Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. This is not Humpy Dumpy sat on a wall and Humpy Dumpy had a great fall. This is not the poem Noise by Jesse Pope that you can find in your New Nelson West Indian reader. This is facts. This is facts. So the little man can be arrested and charged and placed before the courts, where he will have to prove his innocence, even though we were told that you are innocent until proven guilty. But when you are arrested and you are charged, you have to go and find one of these crooks from the 300 plus in the law association. Crooks. Kamla must apologize. Never apologize to who? Apologize for what? But we'll deal with that later. So these little boys and girls can be arrested and have an advice from the DPP. A matter of fact, in some instance, you were arrested this morning. Recommendation for charges is already here this evening. But you know what? It is one law for the poor and another law for the PNM high-ranking officials. You cannot tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that in a democracy we have allegations, serious misconduct amongst ministers. And you are telling me, Victor Roberts, that we could lock up and charge and have recommendations for all the population in the prison. But those who sit within the PNM, we cannot get any recommendations and anybody appearing before the court to prove their innocence. Trinidad and Tobago, I will love for you to soak that in. I will love for you to help me to understand what are those principles of natural justice. You will not hear the 300 plus who supports a lying attorney general speaking on these subject matters. You will not hear Israel Khan standing up and telling you, the people of this country, that the investigations in relation to government ministers is taking too long. But he will stand up and put his foot in his nose hole to speak about my leader, who I am certain is much brighter than him. You see, I want the Law Association to understand that if you are to attack my leader without merit and substance, then I have no problem making a Multani out of you. I will make that Multani out of you, Law Association, because let me tell you something. What you guys have demonstrated I will talk about that later. I will not be distracted because my mouth trembling for you. I want to eat up all you. All you set up big money lawyers, I want to eat all your raw. Because let me tell you something. I will deal with all you later. But we have investigations. $143,800. Still no answers. $400,000 deal. No answers. A payoff bill with a former minister. No answers. Mass corruption on a port. No answers. Bridgman deal. No answers. I have on my phone as I speak over 60 serious allegations. No answers. You see, when you believe that the Cosa Nostra is joke, when you believe that this man stand up and speak of keeping each other secret, when you believe it's a joke, you ain't understand yet what is happening in this country. This is a clever strategy that was concocted and put together to defraud the taxpayer, to deceive your intelligence, to have you to see what is not existing. And when you see those delusions, you are now captivated, believing what is not there is there. Let me give you an illustration. You ever get up in the morning to make coffee? Willingly get up to make coffee. When you know that you used the last coffee yesterday morning, hoping that there is something in that bottle to wash out. Yeah, to wash out. Don't feel shame. It's not only coffee bottle people washing out now. They're washing out the milk pan, sugar pan, peas pan, every pan they're washing out. Washing it out. This morning I get up and I asked my wife, I say, ready for coffee, honey? She said, mm-hmm. I say, buy any? She say, you're wicked. She say, you're wicked. You wake me up knowing that I have no coffee and asking me if I want coffee and now asking me if I buy any. And we had a little fun out of that. We had a little fun out of that. And coming out of that, I stretched my mind as far as it could. And picturing in my mind, what about those who will get up this morning knowing that they have nothing in the kitchen to cook, but yet still getting up and going in the kitchen and searching for what it does not have? I say that to say this. When you allow a prime minister to deceive you, and you, the individual who are being deceived, you have allowed yourself to believe that deception. You know what will happen? You people will continue to live as you living under this regime, telling yourself that better coming, knowing that there is no better to come under Keith Christopher Rowley government. We will spend months speaking. Jacob tells Senator Nackett that a file was sent to the Anti-Corruption Bureau in relation to Rowley saying he is the man. He is the man that went President House. He is the man. I'm going to tell you something here today. My good brother, David Nackett, a strong individual, a man who will stand up and fight the battle and let the chips fall where it may. That is the kind of man I'm talking about. And then them is the kind of man that I like to rock with. I like to rock with real men. Men who will stand up for the cause. Men who will fight the battle. Not fearing what may happen to them. And Nackett proved that with me last Monday. 2 Mondays ago. Prove it. Stand up. We're not leaving until this document go where it's set out to go. That is the kind of man that Victor Roberts will rock with anytime. And that is the kind of people that sits within the UNC. Strong, brave men who will fight and expose themselves to the element in the interest of justice, fairness, and representation to you, the people, and the children in these homes. But we will talk about that later too. So Jacob said to Nackett that the document I forward to the Anti-Corruption Bureau. I want to tell my brother Nackett, do not place any confidence in Jacob and that talk. Believe you me, brother, Do not place any confidence in that statement that Jacob made. Because let me tell you something, my brother. Let me tell you something, my brother. When a commissioner of police allow himself to be manipulated by the politicians, worst again, if that individual wants to be confirmed to the position, that individual will walk with his mouth open and his tongue stretched long out. I'm being real and frank. Welcome, caller.
Yes, good night, Mr. Victor Robert.
Good night.
This is Miss Arima speaking here.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm listening to you. I tuned in a little late, but I'm hearing you all now then.
Better late than never.
Listen, we don't have time for that. We don't trust nobody right now. We going forward with this thing with the children.
Correct.
Mr. Naka tends to trust nobody. But what I want to tell you, Mr. Victor Roberts, we should have this man out, you know, because it's war in the region just now, you know. I know if you hear the news. He's big time friend and them Putin, Xi Jinping, Raisi, and the Maduro next door to we. The same talk Russia was talking. Mr. Putin was talking, he going and do military exercise in the borderline with Ukraine and Russia. Well, they're going and do military exercise here. Yeah. Right next door to we. And here the partner, when them Iranian come in, where you think they're passing? They can't pass up in the North Atlantic, they by them rest of country, though, because the Americans out there. So where you think they go pass? Not true here?
Well, they got to pass somewhere.
It's here they have to pass. And this man here where we live in, by here in Trinidad and Tobago, is different? Is all of them friends? I didn't think he could give America the waters, you know. Dog eat me supper inside of here, you know.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you very much for your call.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you have a man who wants to be confirmed in a position, they will exercise plenty public relations. You see this walk here? This walk here, that 10-year-old boy in front there, with that placard, which states 6 months and no action. I wonder if all you understand what I mean. Welcome, caller. Welcome, caller.
Mr. Robert, good evening to you.
Good day, good day, good day.
Mr. Robert, I hear you saying Mrs. Bethesda have no right to apologize. I agree with you 100%. What is she apologizing for? The same eater food lawyers? We have some eater food lawyers. We have some professional businessmen who is eater food too. We have some doctors who is eater food. And we also have some calypsonians who eater food. I don't know what the big thing is all about. She have no right to apologize. Did anybody call and Rowley to apologize to Mrs. Bethesda for geometry and nipple and cat and dog and whatever the monkey put it up? Did anybody calling him to apologize? No. So I don't know what the thing is all about. But I want to tell him something here, Mr. Robert. Don't eat up the lawyers, you'll get poison. You'll get your poison. Have a blessed night.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'll take your advice. You see, when you expect a man is expected to be confirmed in a position, and those who have to confirm him is the one who is in charge, then we are in serious problems. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Robert.
Sadaroti, good night.
Night.
Tomato Choka, good night.
Listen to me. She doesn't have to apologize one iota. We supported her all the way. And you know, she have another supporter, a former PNM finance minister, a lady like herself. She said she's right. The Law Association is a set of eater food lawyers. And she is disgusted by a fellow by the name of Daly. You know, he's a senior counsel, and he must be close to the geriatric situation, you know. Because they're not too sure what is geriatric, what is senior junior. No. The other thing is, the real vagrant saying 265 recusal is not illegal. You understand what he's saying? But I want to find out if, when they did that, if morality had a place in that. It doesn't appear so. You remember the old General Basil Pandey? He said politics have a morality of its own. It looked like Rowley went to Pandey school. You understand? So those fellas want to recuse themselves. The AG recused himself, you know, from honesty when he signed the affidavit. And that's a recusal if you recuse yourself from honesty and you sign on a paper. That's the way I see it. I go and have a nice night.
Thank you, Saina. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am saying tonight, we must call on the DPP. We must call on the Commissioner of Police. We must hold them to account. For what is happening in relation to all these matters that surrounds high-ranking officials within the PNM that today we cannot get any answer for. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Roberts.
Good night, sir.
Now, when the Prime Minister appoints anybody, they serve at his pleasure. But when they are appointed, they serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That is one. Two, the second thing, if Aran Ramlogan had done what this AG had done, and the AG was the judge, would they let him go?
Very good question.
So Mr. Amo is a dishonorable man, and he should do the honorable thing and resign. If you have any at all, any sense of understanding of the law.
Thank you, caller. Straight and plain, straight and plain, straight and plain. So before we move on to the Law Association, I am saying that we must hold the DPP, we must hold the Acting Commissioner of Police accountable. They work for us. We are the ones that pay their salaries. And if we are the ones that pay their salaries, then we want transparency and accountability to be exposed in those both offices. And arrest that subject for now. Arrest that subject for now. Let me come back to the Law Association here now. That caller is right. You see, sometimes I just feel like we wasting time to bring this country up to par with their constitutional right. I feel like sometimes we just be wasting time trying to help this country, these people in this country, to know what are their fundamental, basic constitutional rights. All these lawyers, every one of these lawyers that receive work from the government. Today a man called me and he was trying to understand what is this word, what it means by state brief. But don't frighten. I am here to help you to understand what is state brief. Don't worry about that. All them big words where you feel you can understand, just ring my phone. I want to help you to understand. So all these men and women, lawyers, who get work from the state that we call state brief, whether is an advice on a particular subject matter or whether is to deal with a matter on behalf of the state. We had Nelson, convicted Queen's Counsel Nelson. According to Rowley and Iwari, they paid Nelson a hefty sum just to tell them that Malcolm Jones' case, her Parkinson, it's shaky. Only hear what I'm telling you? Malcolm Jones matter, where the Privy Council was in disbelief that this government would withdraw that matter. A few lines, just a few lines, not even a full paragraph. And your taxpayer money went jumping down the road in Nelson pocket. Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Victor.
Good day, my friend, my brother. Good day.
How are you?
I am good. Now that I hear your voice, I feel better.
You know, I first must commend you on the stand that you took in dealing with this whole issue with our children's home. And I must say, sir, as you stand as a warrior.
I appreciate my brother.
I must commend you on that. I joined the show late, as I'm not sure what the topic you are on.
Right now on the Law Association, I am on the Law Association, and those who feel and demanding that my leader should apologize, I am saying not one bit.
Well, you know, they are entitled to say what they want, but the fact stands as they are, right? As was made quite clear as to who stood in support of the Attorney General. Right? However, what I will say, and say it again, Reginald Armour, by your apology, by you saying, I am sorry, sir, there's a song that says it's too late to apologize. I want to tell you that the office that you hold is the office of the Attorney General. Right? Is that no office of whatever? It's office of the Attorney General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. What you have done, you have not only embarrassed the nation, not only have you embarrassed yourself, but you have embarrassed the office that you hold. So, for God's sake, for all sake, for the people's sake, so, do the honorable thing. The fact that you apologize, the fact that you said, well, I am sorry, that alone tells me, sir, you need to go, and you must go now. I don't need to hear your friends say in favor of you. I need to hear the friends of Reggie. It's not about Reggie. It's not about you, sir. It's about the office that you hold.
Yep.
Office that you took an oath, sir, to uphold the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago creates the office of the Attorney General. That in the Constitution it states there shall be a cabinet, and the cabinet shall comprise of the Prime Minister and that of the Attorney General. Everybody else is who it comes in after. Mr. Armour, sir, senior. You are senior me. Senior. With all due respect. For God's sake, can't you see? I heard people talk about he stood up in support, and he stood up again what was done to Okasi Paul. So if what was done to Okasi Paul was wrong, how could this be right? If this should be wrong as well. My friend, I am saying here today that if it was on the other foot, and it was someone else, and it was Victor Roberts, Attorney General, and you still had done this, Mr. Armour was the former president of the Law Association in 2016. So you were the former Attorney General, you were the former president of the Law Association in 2014. You made comments about a former Attorney General. You asked a former Attorney General to go. There was no vote taken then. You as the president then, I commend those lawyers, and I say it again. I commend those lawyers. I supported that motion because it is about the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It is about the country. So we have nothing against you. But the minute you step into the political guile and you raise that right hand and you say, I, Reginald Armour, being appointed a member of the cabinet, yada, 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 yada. So you are bound by the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and you have breached that. You have made the country look bad. Your friends came out to support you, and we have no problem with that. We all have friends. But we all know about vested interests in those gentlemen. So I will not go further into that. I will not go further into that. And I am saying as well, we want the transcript. We want it now. This is not a dog and pony show. This is not going to go once around the merry-go-round. This is not playing hopscotch. This is not playing cricket in the valley. This is dealing with the office of the Attorney General. And I commend you on keeping this on the burner. we must continue to say to Reginald Amor, sir, you must go and go now.
Mm-hmm.
Respect the fact that, sir, you are a revered attorney at law. We will not take that away from you. I will not take that away from you. But this is about the office that you hold. Bring back the dignity that it demands. People like Carl Hudson Phillips, I can only imagine Queen's Counsel Carl Hudson Phillips, had he been around today, I am certain that QC Carl would not have accepted that behavior. We have Sahayat Ali. I am sure if he was around, that would not have happened. He would not have accepted that. So Alice Clark, a draftsman of our Constitution, a former Attorney General, a former President, would not have accepted this. I am sure if Noor Hassan Ali was alive today, he may have spoken out on this. Maybe he may have. I'm calling legal luminaries who would have, I'm sure would not have accepted this. Whoever was spoke out, I denies them. As a young attorney at law, I am ashamed. So I can now say, well, I forgot. I can now say, well, I make a mistake. I can now say, well, I was in a hotel room in Europe. It's too small for me to remember. I should say that. The precedent has been set. It is ridiculous. And we as a people of Trinidad and Tobago, we must continue to stand up. Just as a side point, my friend, I saw a number of protests happening in this country today. Look at what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. The Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is saying, Dr. Rowley, your country is ungovernable. It is time to call an election. The people don't want you. They are not satisfied with your representation. Call an election. And if you feel the people still want you, call an election. Let me see. So, my God. Just in San Fernando, you have a mayor of San Fernando doing things that is contrary to the Municipal Corporation Act. And I commend the councillors and all of them of San Fernando for the United National Congress standing up and telling them, Mr. Mayor, you are out of order. Just as a side note, Victor, you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you, my brother. And thank you for your contribution.
You know, as I stand with you, I will always stand at your side.
All the time.
And I know I give you little advice at the side.
Appreciate
and I'm glad you took my advice. I also want to commend Senator David Naked for being there with you. We must continue to fight, my friend. It is the fighters who live on. And those who want to stay quiet, I say to you, I don't want to hear all this. Stay quiet. Because all they don't understand, we must remove Rowley. Rowley must go. And it's time to return Kamala Prasad and the United National Congress to government. Thank you, my friend. Continue to do a good job.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much for your contribution. Welcome, caller.
Good night again, Mr. Roberts, Corky, and all the listeners. You know the Pinocchio issue we have, right? Everybody know about that. I gave him that nickname. You know what he has done to me as a person? Well, I don't fly as I used to go. Used to go up all the islands and things. Ashamed to go now. I had to buy a mattress to go on, you know, as a recent Lucia, Trinidad, St. Vincent, they say, Trini, what's going on? You know what they're going to tell me? They go say, Trini, all is a true banana republic. All the vaccine government who wanted to give only half a banana, now he bringing them a bunch of banana. Play that song for me, man. Banana boat by, what they call him? Oh, Harry Belafonte. Play that for the vaccine government and the Pinocchio AG. I go and have a nice night. Ashamed to go to them islands and things now. I had to put on a mask and hide. I go on.
Thank you, my brother. The DJ ain't come out today, so we wouldn't be able to play for you. But I want to say something. I want to say where my problem lies. My problem lies with every lawyer who supports Amor in that vote. Every lawyer, every single one of them. All who supported and talk about is my friend and a good boy. Boy, they're making joke in this country. Look, my son Omar here with me. Sit down right on that chair there. Right here. Omar, come. Come. Omar is 10 years. And if you tell your father a lie, what will happen? Tell them, no friend. What will happen if you lie for me?
I'll get licks.
They didn't hear you talk a little harder.
I'll get licks.
Right, thank you. Only hear what Omar say? No, we can't remember when last he tell a lie. But you hear what he say? If he tell me a lie, Omar sure to get 4 or 5 belt on that little bottom of his own. But why? Why is because I don't like Omar? Why? Because Omar is not my son. Omar get and will get those belts for a reason. It is a punishment to help Omar to understand not only he must not lie, but because of his lies, it could cause other people to lose their life. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, sir.
This is his case with Victor Roberts.
Yes, this is Victor Roberts.
Okay, this whole issue with the Law Association. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
This whole issue with the Law Association only gives the criminals more leeway, because if the Attorney General could say that he's sorry, right? Criminals will also say they're sorry and they're supposed to release them.
I agree with you. I agree with you, caller.
Yes, so you have to put out across how to base sit down on the next side and prosecute you for a crime when a blatantly in high society the crime is committed. So that is probably one of the reasons why we have increasing crime, because the bandits feel that they too are right.
Thank you for your contribution, caller. Very well taken.
Yeah, man.
So Omar knows that a lie can cause people to go to prison. Omar knows that a lie could cause people to lose their life. Omar knows the consequence of a lie, and therefore I will train Omar that when Omar grow, that he would be truthful in every given situation. Why should we punish our children for lying when we have an Attorney General who stood up and lied in an international jurisdiction and come back home, and then our lawyers will pat him on his back and said, we forgive you, this is a good boy, we support you. That is what the Law Association come to in this country. So then tell me, where is the integrity within that organization? Where is the integrity? And all those lawyers who didn't participate for whatever reason, let me tell you something. Always as guilty as Amor. As guilty as Amor. I salute those attorneys who stood up and stood out to hold some integrity within the association. I am so sorry that you guys cannot resign and form another association and leave this rotten association there for the bunch of wicked, evil devils. This is not a political issue, you know. This is a moral issue. This is not a political issue. Welcome, caller.
I'm back inside again. This is your original time now. Listen to me. We're going after the note of attorneys. Express printed the names of the 40 attorneys who signed the petition for the motion. What they did that for? To embarrass or intimidate, right? Why are they waiting to print the transcript of the Law Association now? We want to see everybody who vote yes and who vote no. We have to see the eater food. We want it. We want the transcript. We had to pong them, you know, Victor. We had to tell them we wanted Law Association. We don't want any hiding. Every day we come on the station, we asking for it. God.
Thank you. And Express, let me ask you. I want to ask you a personal favor, Express. Something that I don't do. Ask for personal favors. I want to ask you a personal favor, Express, to print the names of those individuals who brought about this motion. Put it in bold and big, so the country will know the good lawyers' names, who they ought to go to when they have a matter. Print it, put it back up. Put it back up, so the country will know the sheep from the goat and them. They will know that these lawyers on this list is the lawyers with integrity. The lawyers on this list is the lawyers with morality. The lawyers on this list is the lawyers with values.
Well, you have to put up the list, because them again, no more brief from the state, so you might as well advertise for them.
Put it up, man. And let me get some work. The private sector, they fall here. Don't study the state. Don't study them. The state time will come to an end. Mark my words. The time will come to an end. And when that time reach, I very well hope that these senior lawyers who stood up with the wrongdoing would be able to represent them in the courts, because there is where they will be heading. You see, these lawyers in this country, we have to know Trinidad and Tobago. It is your right to know how much money the government pay these lawyers in state-related matters. That is your right to know. And anybody who tries to conceal, break down that word, who tries to hide that from all you, them is the bandit. You see, this is not a private matter, you know. When you get a brief or a job from the state, this is not a private matter, you know. This is not a private matter. This is a state-related matter. And once money from the taxpayers are being paid to anybody in or out this country, it is your right to know. You see, this government have a way. Every time they're ready to thief, they will tell you that in this contract, there is a code of secret. You see, I want all you to keep in mind that the Cosa Nostra is a code of secrecy. So every time this government enter into any contract, they come in to tell you that there is a clause inside there that is something that we can't talk about. Are you hearing me well? So, while on that,
code, a mafiosi code, we keep each other's secret.
yeah, yes, man, we keep each other's secret. Well, let me tell you something. We have no secret to keep in the UNC. We will expose every secret that come to hand. And let me say this. I want to put this on public record here tonight. I want to put this on public record tonight. A man tell me, Mr. Roberts, only go on by the embassy to embarrass the government. But under the UNC, children were still getting raped in the homes. Well, tonight, Mr. Man, I want to tell you that you is a sick individual. I want to tell you tonight, and I know you're locked on, that you are a sick individual. You see, what you are telling Victor Roberts is because something was wrong back then. I must accept that same something which is wrong now. Never. Never. You know what is my job? Let me help you to understand what is Victor Roberts' job. My job is to stand up for what is right under the PNM, under the UNC, under anybody who would come or go. My job is to stand up for what is right. And let me tell you something. That is something that you could take me away from, but you could never take out of me. You could take me away from standing up for what is right, but you could never take what is right out of me. Mark that down. Put that on the back of your calendar and keep it. And if you have a pipe, you could smoke it as good and truthful, not like ammo. Good and truthful words that you could always go back to and say, Victor Roberts said that he is a man that will stand up for what is right all the time, every time, anyway, everywhere. So you telling me, because this bunch of pedophiles was existing since somewhere back down in 50 whatever, you telling me now that I should not do anything? I should just allow it to happen? But Basilio Pandey did something. Pandey did something about it. Pandey put together a task force to investigate when those allegations surfaces. He put a task force. Recommendation were made. Coming out of all that, Kamla Prasad Bisasa, a woman who stood out, stand up, lie down, bend down, everything for children in this country. Everything for children. Children's Hospital, Children Life Fund. MPs had to put part of the salary inside of that to do what? To help a child. And you telling me today that I want to make the government look bad because that was happening under the UNC too. If it was happening under the UNC too, I am telling you, the UNC wasn't involved in making it happen, unlike the PNM. Unlike the PNM. If it was happening back then, you can't call one UNC member of parliament, senator, activist, who was interfering with them children. But I could call names. I could call names. And you know the names. You know the names. And don't play no games. Since you know the names, since you know it was happening back then, I am telling you, we are going to put a stop to it. We will put a stop to it. For a man to ring my phone and tell me that we want to make the government look bad, when the government had a report for 6 months, never mentioned it once, under extreme pressure in the parliament, we were told that yes, the report is there, and some woman share a tear. Well, she should look for the Alsing, and both of them could share a tear together. That way they had to do a tear. You know why? Because they had tear open. They had tear open. 4,000 plus deaths, COVID-19, but I share a tear. Over 140 something children abused in the home. But I had a website, I share, I feel to share a tear. Boy, if God was like man, when all you share that tear, all you drown in it. Good thing God is not like man. When all you share that tear, all you would have drown in it. Watch how much children are in here in the lawyers, with the law association and that. You know what? Their children going to prestige schools with all the taxpayer money, all you can even share, send all your own children to school. Rowdy mash up laptop, mash up books, mash up everything. All you can't pay and send all your children to school, but they're benefiting with millions of dollars for an advice. Let me share back something with Nelson with all you. Nelson was the man that make recommendations to put that former Petrochin chairman in court. He was the man that gave advice to put Malcolm Jones in court. But when the figures climb, the same Nelson was able, according to Alwari and Rowley, they seek advice. And the advice that was given by the same man who gave advice to lock up, to prosecute, to go after, the same man come back now with the next pen, this time the blacking pen, and say, look, the case shaky. You know why? Ask Faris Alwari if Nelson collected $10 million and what that $10 million was for. And while on that, ask Faris Alwari if he had entered into an agreement with the same Nelson to record statements against 2 former UNC senators. The same Nelson that collected over $10 million asked Faris Alwari if he entered into negotiations with Nelson, exempting Nelson from any form of prosecution for a statement, whether it is true or not. Ask Faris that for me, please. I am asking on behalf of a good friend of mine. So I want all your media, I want all you to ask Faris that. I want all you to ask him that. And I want all you to ask the DPP at the same time if there's an investigation into that alleged piece of misbehavior in public office. And while all you at it, all you could ask Jacob. And they'll say, they tell me to walk with Jacob because Jacob does walk and shake up. Ask, walk and shake up. You see, all you like too much games in this country. And that is why the Law Association could play games with all your intellect. Because you see, all your intellect on one side is balisé, and on the next side is money. So all you could afford to allow all yourself to be, I don't want disdain too strong a word, but all you could allow all yourself to be embarrassed internationally by the stands you 300 plus and about 2,000 who didn't participate. All of you, what all you believe, saying I didn't take no part is an excuse for shame. All is supposed to be shame, and real shame. That is what all you should be. Shame all yourself. Welcome, caller.
I'm back inside again. I'm back inside. Listen to this. The Privy Council made a ruling recently where they castigated a former AG, JJ, right? What is Law Association doing about that AG? Still in practice, is a senior counsel, you know, he gets sick too, you know. He must be a geriatric senior counsel. If the Law Association with its soul, they would start an investigation of his behavior, and likewise one for Jacob to damn Jacob. I mean to say the Privy Council says so. Remember they said there was political bias and this and that with what they call this fella
Mark Nichols. Sherman Mark Nichols.
Right. And you remember who was Sherman Mark Nichols' lawyer? Right. A fella named Peterson, and he get as he said, you know. You know, you carry your witness to the box and he perjured himself, just like the AG boy, Pinocho. And we do them nothing in a boy. If you are honest lawyer and you know your witness, because all you have to thoroughly investigate the witness statement to see if it's reliable. You understand? They do nothing. What is the Law Association doing? For association to grow, it has to cleanse itself. It must do the corrective action and the preventive action. But it apparently this Law Association only have senior geriatric counsel with boy scout traits. Good boys, good morning, sir, good morning. But the pockets become fat at the expense of me as a taxpayer. You understand? So Law Association, go and investigate. We want to know what is all his stand on it. Don't wait until the man, when he's ready to be prosecuted, a magistrate or DPP. Remember what they say about Patrick Manning? He was too sick to investigate him and charge him. Remember that one? A lot of people can't remember Patrick Manning had to come before the court and our DPP. I think must be this one who's sitting. And by the way, what has happened to the Clico report? This fella coming for 60 million from us. Our taxpayers' money going again. But people are culpable in that Clico report. What is he doing? What he and Jacob is doing? He's sitting on it and only making an excuse that he don't have resources. Who is he protecting? It have a lot of them I wonder if I'm still going up, you know. We can't build enough jail for them, you know. I go on, have a nice night.
There is no investigation to come. None whatsoever. You see, again, that is the whole plan of the Cosa Nostra. Welcome, caller. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night, Mr. Victor Roberts.
Good night.
Once again, this letter that you drop at the U.S. Embassy, listen, man, when they make a statement, when they put out a statement, it's going to be real dread, you know. And somehow I feel they might call the names. But what I want to say is, anybody could call these people names, them can't sue nobody, you know. Because if they're suing, they have to answer a question. They will put themselves in real trouble if they only look to put out a sue people. I think so. What do you think about that?
Well, they will have to answer.
Yeah. Because nobody are putting them. So it's good to test them out and see if they will jump out and play they want to sue. But I know they're smart. I find they stay real quiet. I ain't hear Rowley say nothing. The one who likes to defend them. Yeah, Rowley. I ain't hear say nothing about the Terran. I want to go in by the U.S. Embassy for that for one United Nations. Only talking about the Terran. Why you talk so? Huh? The mouth show up on that?
They can't talk. They cannot talk. You see, when you're pitching marble and you have some friends inside of the ring, you have to know how you're pitching.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah.
You see, boy, let me tell you something in this country. You see, this Trinidad, until the people of this country get serious, is until things will go how it going. Actually, let me take a little break and we'll be right back. Let me drink a little water. All right, so we back inside. We back inside. We back inside. So we back inside. Trinidad and Tobago. We, the people of this country, have to understand that we are in dangerous waters. Now, the sad thing about that is that if you are not aware, let me illustrate it this way. You ever go on a strange beach and you're taking a bath? Welcome, caller.
Yeah, Victor.
Yes, sir.
Good night, sir. Calling from Tobago.
Hello? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Tobago.
Right. You know, I was doing some research recently, and way back, the Attorney General and the DPP was one person. Am I correct?
The Attorney General
and the DPP was one person.
I can't recall that. I
Okay,
can't recall that, but I'm going to research it because I cannot recall that office would have been one person holding the two offices. I think the Constitution is clear in relation to the Attorney General and the Prime Minister forming the government. So the DPP have to be apart.
Okay, have to be apart. Now, the reason why I raised that, so you would conduct some research for me, right?
No problem. I will.
The reason why I raised that is because in England, for instance, the Attorney General they're trying to separate the powers that they're trying to separate the Attorney General office from being a member of cabinet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be not a member for partisan reasons because of the influence the person could have on key decisions within the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
The post of Attorney General is a very important one, but also if used in the wrong capacity is also a dangerous one, right?
Right.
The Attorney General, of course, we know would deal with civil matters and the DPP would deal with criminal matters. Suffice it to say, even the role of the DPP, of course, in the wrong hands is also dangerous. Now, why I raise all that? Because I think I asked you on this program already. How can we, is it through legislation that we remove a sitting Attorney General from office?
Mm-hmm.
If it is deemed that the Attorney General is not carrying out his functions the way he's supposed to? Because, I mean, look at the current, not the Attorney General, sorry, the DPP, sorry.
Yeah.
Look at the current conduct of the DPP. Now, this current DPP was offered the position of a judge in 2015 and he refused.
Right.
And I'm quite sure that if you understand what's going on, there was a reason why he refused. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He so far appears to be cherry picking the criminal investigations to pursue. Right? The matter concerning the Ocean Pelican, which happened in 2021 in December, there is no clear direction on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even the issue with the children in the homes. I mean, come on, in what country in the world could allegations be made on that front and the police not investigating firsthand the whole issues behind that? But yet, when they hold somebody in Beatum or Sealer, judgment is passed on them to charge them in no time.
Right.
Right? How is it? How do we go about? Because clearly, this current DPP is wearing two hats. He's wearing the hat of the DPP and he's wearing a red hat under the DPP hat. And you know what I'm talking about, right? So those things we need to look into in terms of the Constitution, because you can't have critical positions like these where people go into and seem to be untouchable.
Right.
To do what they want and do what they feel and lock up who they want to lock up and leave he and take he. This is a critical position in the country. And if the current DPP was doing his job in the way that he is supposed to, the amount of people who sitting in the parliament today would have been in jail, would have been in a better place.
Right.
So we need to find out these things, because I've been asking the question: how do you remove a sitting DPP? And it seemed to be impossible, right? So you have the DPP, the Chief Justice, and the Attorney General, critical positions within the country to enforce law.
Yes.
When you have these three positions polluted with political influence,
contaminated,
contaminated, and that is exactly what is taking place here now. Why we cannot have proper justice, right? And before I go, look at the past Attorney General, Faris Alwari, had allegations of his children carrying firearm. What happened to that investigation? What is DPP really doing? What is his role and function here? What is really going on here? Is it to just lock up little black boys in Beatum and Sealux and charge them? Yet you have the biggest criminals in this country sitting in the parliament at Trinidad and Tobago, the biggest criminals. And the DPP knows that. But because you were in too hot, nothing can be done about it. How do we fix those problems unless we purify and cleanse those offices that I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Kola. That contribution, I want to put it in front of the class, because you are so absolutely right. And this is why we are where we are. Because when you have people placed in strategic positions who supports your ideology, or who benefit, for a better word, who reap financial gains, it is almost impossible. It is almost impossible right now in Trinidad and Tobago to bring a criminal charge against one of the criminals who sit in the parliament. Because when you interlock these independent institutions who ought to be following the Constitution teeth and nail, and these institutions divert into the political arena, and then they allow themselves to be contaminated, what would eventually happen is what is happening now. We will have a lawless society, because you see, while the man on the street may not understand all the big words, surreptitious and paraventia, and all the big words that you want to put out there, let me tell you what he understands. He understand thieving going on. He understand eater food going on. He understand we paying the price and them living nice. He understand them doing the same thing that we doing, but them can't get locked up and we getting locked up. So hear what? Let we pasteurize the place. And that is where we are. We are in a place where this Prime Minister talked about crime being a way of life. The people of this country making crime a way of life. I want the Prime Minister to know that the people of the country learn from him and his cabinet. Is already people learning from Prime Minister? Let me break down that. Keith Rowley, you feel the people not seeing what happening in the parliament, in the cabinet? You feel the people not seeing all you walking in and out the dusty window and collecting millions? All you feel the people on the street and seeing that? Or you feel the people on the street does not understand what is recusal? You feel the people on the street don't know, let's step out and close our door, and your colleagues who support you vote and say, yes, Alwari go eat this food, and Stuart Young go eat the next one, and then you walk outside Rowley and you eat yours, and then Sinanan walk out and he eat his own, and everybody is in and out the dusty window, in and out the dusty window. That is what going on with taxpayers' money. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Victor.
Good night, sir.
You know who this is? I don't call any names.
Mm-hmm.
How come the DPP and the man in charge of the you there?
Yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead.
The man in charge of the law, it seems to be that they're there for life. Why is this so, and why aren't they voted in by the public rather than politicians? Thank you.
Don't go ahead, caller. Why the DPP voted in by the public and not the politician? Actually gone? Yeah. I ain't to catch that question too clear but just in case I catch it clear, these individuals, they are appointed on the advice of the Prime Minister. The population doesn't really have a say. The common man on the street doesn't really have a say when coming to these matters. And the caller before you, I think that those are things that we need to legislate on. Because, you see, when a prime minister could go to the president and go to the police service commission and say, look, I have information about this and I have information about that. Remember, all you have is information. And if we are to follow the rule of law in this country, information is not good enough. Your information must be investigated. And out of your information must comes evidence. And when evidence come out, wild caller, welcome. I will come back to my point.
Good night again, Mr. Rob.
Yes, sir. Good day.
Yeah, the Law Association wants Kamala to apologize for speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And the man who lied, then when he apologized to the nation. I can't understand that. Good night. Have a good night, sir.
Well said, caller. Well said. And evidence must come out after your information is being investigated. And when the evidence come out, then there's two offices that deals with it. From the police commissioner or from whatever or whoever he appoints to act in relation to the submitting of those files, it goes across to the DPP office. The DPP office will now look at it. The DPP can recommend further investigation take place, or the DPP can recommend no charges be brought based on what is before him, or he could also go ahead, call. I go finish my point just now.
Good night. Good night.
Yes, sir.
You know what? In a position. Imagine in we history, the DPP, the Chief Justice, and the Attorney General. All of them are questions to answer. So what the heck this country do? We have to do something again with that. Right? If they don't do nothing, this country will worse and worse with these two people in charge. Because no justice.
Correct, caller, you're right. So the DPP can make recommendations that this charge be preferred against the individual and so on and so on. Right? When that happens, then the police again will do their job. They will go by the justice of the peace and seek a warrant or if they choose to proceed by summons, they do that, and then the person is brought before the court. Now, when the person is brought before the court, that doesn't mean to say that the person is guilty of the charge. There and then, in these criminal matters, we will have an inquiry basically in that process in the court. And coming out of the findings, then, if it's an indictable offense and it go to the upstairs, first and prima facie cases have to be made out in the court below, and then they will send it upstairs for the trial. So there is process in order for these things to happen. Now, when we have these allegations for so long that should have been concluded already, because we have matters, our caller Joy, clearly we have a matter where 2 children are alleged to be Faris Alwari children with high-power machine gun. We know, of course, coming out of that, people lose their life, and we must not forget these things, We must not forget these things. We must not forget that a soldier lose his life coming out of these allegations. Welcome, caller.
What I'll ask you about the Chief Justice and the DPP, why are they there for life? How come? I mean, something wrong with the system. We have to change that. Good night, Victor.
Yes, caller, and I agree, and that is why I'm saying we have to legislate in order to bring about those changes. But remember, some of these changes would take a 3/5 majority. It's not a simple majority, and it's not a 2/3 majority. Some of these changes would take a 3/5 majority. I am not certain what category that piece of legislation will fall under, but it's something that I will research, because that is something I love to do. So I will research that and see how this can happen, if it's just by a 2/3 or a 3/5 majority. I want to be leaning on the 3/5 side for now, but we will get further information on that. And I have a problem with that too. You cannot tell me, because you see, when you have these people there for life, it simply tells you that these individuals can be contaminated, and then if the contamination is in favor of the politician, who also have some authority to enact a tribunal based on allegations that may center or circle around the individual. All right, so while they're there for life in a way, if they are doing the bidding of the politician, then it's almost impossible to have any form of tribunal set up against these individuals. Welcome, caller.
Hey, Victor. Mr. Roberts.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a short comment. The worst hurt anybody ever received was Tessa from the email, and she has apology from anybody.
Caller, you're breaking up badly. Actually, you hearing him clear there? Yeah.
I'm trying. Can you hear me now?
No, you're still. We're hearing some of your words, but the sentence breaking, so we're not really hearing what you're saying, really.
I'll try to.
Yeah, if you could just move from that location or something, I feel you maybe just in a little bad location.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, let me try there.
Okay. I'm saying short that the worst egregious hurt anybody ever received was Kamala from the Indian Gate. Okay, I'll try again. I'll call back.
All right. Yeah, so there is if you have these individuals leaning on the side of the political directorate, it is impossible to remove them, because if there is serious allegation, all right, let's just back up a little bit. We had some allegations against the Chief Justice. You remember that, Archie? coming out of those allegations, the same law association, you know, the same law association, and coming out of those allegations, what did Keith Christopher Rowley did? Keith Christopher Rowley was the individual who did not allow it to go forward. He is the individual who did not allow it to go forward. And that is a dangerous precedent, because why won't you not give the Chief Justice an opportunity to clear his name? Why? You are speaking about the supreme leader of the justice system. You are talking about an individual. If the president needs to be impeached, the individual who have the authority to go through the judiciary and select 4 other judges to sit with him on that panel to determine the fate of a president. But if you have allegations, and from where I sit, still existing over the Chief Justice head, what trust would the international community have within the justice system in Trinidad and Tobago? Now forget we, because it seems as though we rally in with any toilet paper. Any piece of toilet paper that already serve its purpose, we still rallying with that in we back pocket, and in some case we wiping we face with it too. But the international community, when you have these kind of allegations and a prime minister refused to act by giving the supreme leader of the justice system an opportunity to clear what should be your good name, because holding that office you ought to be without reproach. That office ought not to be brought in blemish under no circumstance. But when you allow a prime minister, for whatever reason, to state, well, look, we get advice and there is not enough evidence. Not enough. Enough should never be a word inside there. Welcome, caller.
Yes, international community. Mr. Victor Robert.
Yes,
ma'am. It's have the OAS. We on to the OAS. We can't sign off. They will deal with them and tell them restore democracy. And as we talking this night and day, different stations, these people could remedy them good for we. When things fail like that and it didn't have no democracy, it's straight there you have to go. And who is the head of the OAS? Right where you went the other day with them letters. You might have to live by the embassy, you know, Mr. Victor Roberts. I'm telling you.
So let me tell you this. Let me tell you this much.
I'm listening.
The leader of the opposition continues to do her work in terms of writing the necessary agencies in order to deal with a whole lot of issues in our country.
Yes, because it's crucial right now. Everything crucial with these people is a failed state, is a failed democracy. If there had no other way out but that way, you know, we going through.
Well, that ain't no joke. That ain't no joke. Thanks very much for your comments.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So while you will not allow, while you are saying that there is not enough, then once you can tell us there is not enough, which means there is some. Once you start to tell us there is not enough money in the bank, then you are automatically telling us there is some money in the bank. So when you start to tell us there is not enough from where you sit and the advice that you seek, there is not enough evidence to warrant that tribunal. It speaks volume. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Roberts.
Yes, sir.
I'm used to you again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just raise a matter quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
We cannot depend on international help, right? We have to do this ourselves. Here why I say that. As we speak now, you know there's a war taking place in Ukraine and whatnot. There are countries today who, on the face and in the front, condemning what Russia has been doing, but yet in the dead of night, still taking the oil. You know that, right? But nobody else know about. Still taking the oil. They're condemning them and telling them how they're this and they're advantageous and bullying. But in the dead of night, behind the scenes, they're paying them money and taking the oil still. Right? That is one part.
Yeah.
I want to also bring back your memory. I don't know if you know about a particular journalist that was murdered in the consulate in Turkey in 2019. A journalist by the name of Jamal Khashoggi. Remember that?
Yep. I raised that sometime recently.
Right, where the Saudi Arabian prince was accused. They had unequivocal evidence because the consulate was tapped.
Yep.
So they had unequivocal evidence that they murdered a man, cut him up and put him in acid and fake that he leave the consulate, let the next man go to the clothes and his shoes. And all kind of madness. Yet today, the United States is shaking hand with him and trying to embrace him still after they accuse him of being a murderer and a this and that. I just raise all that to show you that depending on outside help, because they have ulterior motives, they corrupt the same way in different forms. We had to do this ourselves here. The people, the public, the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago have to want a change. We have to want it.
Well said.
We can't keep depending on people because it ain't gonna happen. When you have people, imagine the Prime Minister interfering in a process, as you mentioned, to remove a police commissioner. And you have people saying how he are all right to do that. You just wonder what is going on in this country. If people sleeping on the brain. Because he's head of the security council, he could do whatever he wants. That is some of the things I was hearing on social media. That can't be right. That cannot be right. Right? The police service is an independent, supposedly, and I say that guardingly, based on how things have been going for the last so much years.
And caller, let me just take 1 minute of your, less than a minute of your money. And you are right. While these people may go on social media and say he's the Prime Minister and he have the right, I am saying yes, he have the right, but there's a process in order for it to be right. You cannot use a wrong process to get a right result.
Exactly. And you know, the Prime Minister knew exactly what he was doing because he knew that he didn't have a foot to stand up on to argue about Gary Griffith's appointment in the Parliament. He'd just shoot down with that. Because his issues was personal issues against Gary Griffith, not anything to do with his job performance. And of course, the bar for police commissioner was so low that any two-bit person would have been able to make a dent on that.
Right.
So I guarantee you, if Gary Griffith was police commissioner today, the crime rate would have never been where it is as we speak. That would not happen at all.
Right.
Because he had actually brought a kind of fear in the way, he had revolutionized how the police commissioner should operate, right? In terms of how he was operating, going out with the men and them, and really trying to get after criminals. Not like what we have now, people just sitting down in a office in a khaki and they stick and just wearing under the police commissioner hat, wearing a political hat. That's what's going on there, you know. Under the police commissioner hat, there is a red hat under that right now. Correct. So then you know that the criminal element, once it is that the government don't want anything with you, it ain't gonna happen. It's only people, little black boys and the people who don't have no money. They are the ones that they go lock up and abuse. And before I go, just look to show you how crime is like a cancer. Just show you, let me show you how crime is like a cancer. Imagine the police and them taking money to go in and stand security in FET. You know there's an accusation with that going on right now. Hundreds of thousands of dollars the police charging to go and stand security in parties, right? And getting away with that. Tell me, imagine that, and yet my daughter going in school, I can't get a policeman to stand up to direct the traffic when she school over in the afternoon. But they could go in effect, about 100 of them, they in effect doing absolutely nothing, and imagine the police charging the people and them hundreds of thousands of dollars. What really going on in this country? And that is what I'm talking about. So the government corrupts, so every arm of the country now just seeing what's going on and realize that you could eat our food, nobody ain't getting punished for it. So let me eat my pie. And the police are apparently dabbling in that same dotishness by going when they're supposed to be thing. They're going after charging the people, the business people and complaining, saying the police them sending unnecessary amount of people. There were 20 constable, 10 corporal, 5 inspector. When they arrest the bill is $100 something thousand. What is really going on here? What the police really doing? And that only comes about because the hierarchy within the country is corrupt and other people see it. So once you see have a fish and the fish rotten, in a couple of days the whole fish rotten, and that is what is taking place here. So we now need to stand up. We don't depend on outside influence as I mentioned earlier. We as a people need to decide what is right, especially the churches and them things. Stop putting all your hand in all your mouth because all you gain a piece of money. The church will teach morals and ethics to know what is right and wrong. You can't put money above that. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You can't feel because you gain $100,000 from the government that you should just sit down and allow wrongdoing to pass. That can't be right. Look how them children who abusing homes, the church are them saying nothing about it. What kind of thing really going on here? You are children in homes getting abused, as was mentioned in the night time, or like now we talking here, they must be getting interfered with. Look how long that report was lodged, and the churches and them saying nothing about it. They're just pushing them out. Why? Because they gain money. Man, watch me, fire burn this place, boy. Fire burn this place.
Thank you, Kola. Thank you for your contribution. And Kola, you're right. You're on the button. You're on the button. And this is what is happening, you know. The people of the country recognize that the government is corrupt. And the people of the country is now trying to benefit out of the same corrupt practice. And therefore, they will do anything. Anything. And that is why you will hear people on social media saying, Rowley was right with this with Gary, with that with Gary. I am saying, if there is information that Gary did something wrong, then an investigation must take place. Then the evidence must come out of that investigation. And then Gary Griffith should have been put before the court to answer. But you just cannot up in arms and get someone as your partner to go and do some investigation, because first we hear it was free, then we hear it was the National Security Council, then later down we hear the PCA, and we start to hear the appointment, and it started to move from Tom, Dick, Harry, Patsy, Lucy, Jane, it reached quite down by Granny, right? And you get whatever you feel you get, and individual who have no constitutional authority to carry out the type of investigation that ought to be carried out, in that scenario. And yet today we're still hearing that you are hanged in that whatever information you get, you're now threatening to take it to the police service, the new police service commission, whether it is constitutionally appointed or not, because there's a lot of questions that needs to be answered inside there. But nevertheless, you mash up the first one, you appoint the second one, the same lady that did the independent investigation in relation to the children homes with all these abuse and this rape and this torture and this psychological and physical and mental abuse, sexual abuse that is taking place in those homes. You take the same goodly lady and you now appointed her as the head of the Police Service Commission. Coming out of that, I just want to stray here a minute, but coming out of that, the same woman who you believe is competent, have credibility, that you could now appoint her as the head of the Police Service Commission, deliver a report to you where these children are being abused. You take that same report and you are telling us now, after you get caught with the report hidden, you are telling us now that you appoint a task force to investigate the findings of this report and report back to you. So what we had, wait, you see, this is the thing with us mess me up real bad. So Judith Jones were able to put together that report. That report have recommendations that would prevent what is happening, what is going on as we speak from going on. That report also have different forms where the home needs to follow out, different license that must come to the home, the role of the child protection unit. That report, that 307 page, had everything within the mix. But to the end of the day, you take the same lady who did that report and you make wanted we to eat banana, you should have eat the whole bunch, because you have to be the biggest monkey that it have on this earth to take a report and put other people to look into the findings of that report, but take the same person who brought the report to you and now appoint that individual as the head of the Police Service Commission. So she good for the head of the Police Service Commission, but she ain't good to deliver the findings of a report. You have to get other people to look into that findings for you to be convinced. But all these sick people, Keith Rowley, all these sick. And I ask you a question, and let me ask you as a close. I ask you on a number of occasions, did you had sex with a girl of school age while you were her teacher? And if that is yes, Keith Rowley, then I will place you at the head of that said pedophile ring. I gone. Have a good night.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy. A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy. A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically.